Hello, using a compass. So this is a compass. First thing you want to do is take your pencil, use a pencil. I'm not using a pencil because pencil does not work well on this. It does not transfer to this camera. So in order for you to see this, that's why I'm using a pen, but I want you to always use a pencil. So when you put this is the compass. Take your pencil, writing, just make sure you tighten it here. That's gonna tighten it. Okay, and then when you make a circle, you just have to put it down. Please do not hold it up here. It tends to make mistakes. Or sorry, my fault. Please do not hold it down here. This is where you make mistakes. You can hold it up here or in the middle, but not down here near the bottom, because that's where things start going. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is some things that can go wrong when you make a circle. So using a compass, when you make it, it's used to make arcs or circles. Okay, so when you're making your arcs, this doesn't even work now. There we go, now it's making circles. So when you make a circle, when you go around in a circle and it doesn't meet back to where you started from, if it does not meet back where it started from, that means your compass is loose right here. It's loose and you need to tighten it. Sometimes I can take if it was a paper clip, you use this end, but this is too thick to get in there. Paper clip is thinner. Sometimes I can use this, but I'm just gonna use a screwdriver since I make it easier. There we go. Now it makes this a little bit more difficult to move that. Once I move it here, now it's rigid, it's not gonna move. So when it goes around in a circle but doesn't come back to the same place it started, that means this thing is loose and it's moving this way as you're going around in a circle. Next thing is compass skipping. When you're done with it, it looks like this. Looks like it's skipping. You can see it after the fact, that's skipping. One way to do that. So what you want to do is you want to, instead of going straight up and down like this, I'm going to take this compass and I'm going to move it down, put it to the side like that. Not straight up and down, perpendicular to the camera. I'm going to move it to the side. And then when I turn this, try not to use your whole wrist. Make it easy on yourself. I'm taking my hand here. I'm gonna move the paper. So I just have to take this paper and tilt it to the side. I can put my finger on my lip here and got a little bit wet. Here, it's easier for me to turn this paper around in circles, and it met right back where it started from. That's a whole lot easier than doing this and going with your arm. But I can't go anymore. I have to go further. So, whoops. So I don't want to do that, but there you go. Okay, again, it's easier if you take this, hold it up here, put it down, move it on the side, and then move the paper instead of your wrists. Your wrists aren't going to go that far around. So that's what, and it skips. Put it down, tilt it to the side, and move the paper. When it's something like this, when it does not move, when it does not join back to where it started from, the compass is loose. You need to tighten that. This right here, you get a hole in the center. You get a giant hole. You really can't see it because now you can see that hole. It's a lot bigger. This hole, you could just barely see that hole. This one, you cannot see it. What I did is I took some paper, put a piece of paper on top of something else. Even easier, you take your book, put it on top of the book. That way, when you're using your compass and making circles, here I'm going to make this fly out. When I take this, when I rotate the paper right here, this paper is not going to interrupt anything. I can just move that stuff out of the way. If I have it down right here, if I'm doing it on a table, I tend to make a big hole like this, and see how that's getting interrupting with the book right there. Also when I go around, that's gonna interfering right there. I can't turn the paper anymore. That causes an interference. And I rotate this and rotate it back and forth, and that thing, and now I just made a big hole. So if you stuck it on top of your book, now when you turn this paper, there's nothing around here to cause interference, and your paper will freely turn around. Okay, make it easier on yourself. Otherwise, all this will make it frustrating. This will make it frustrating, and a hole in the center is going to make it frustrating because it's not going to be a nice circle. It used to get stuff like this. That right there, that was caused by that hole, and the paper is moving and you get some weird stuff. So be aware of that, okay? So what I want you to do when you're making circles, to make circles, I did some weird stuff, but just practice. Either have your hand in the center or near the top, but when it's near the bottom, or even if you touch this, you tend to do this while it moves, and I don't do that. Do not have two hands here and here. Don't do this because you tend to make mistakes. I just tend to have one hand right over here or up near the top, and I just take this, move it to the side. So this is at an angle, and then turn the paper. It's a heck of a lot. Whoops. See that big, looks like a pregnant thing right there. There we go. Beep, beep. So be careful of that. Okay. So your assignment's going to be to make 8 circles in this fashion right here. Let me move this so it makes it easier. You can see it's 8 circles. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then write 8 circles. So again, it could look like this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 circles. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So make circle, they could look like that, it could look like this, but it's basically the same shape. Right? It's basically the same shape. And then when you're done, put 8 circles right in that empty spot right there. This is what you're going to turn in. You only need to do this once. I happen to do it on two different times. You only need to do it one time. Make sure you put your heading in the upper right corner. Okay. Next, how to construct a perpendicular bisector using a compass and a straight edge. Okay. So here's a section. There's a segment from here to here. You need to find a perpendicular bisector. Now, perpendicular means it intersects at 90 degrees. Bisector, bi. I don't mean bye, I mean bi as in 2. Okay, it's gonna cut this into 2 equal parts. So this is perpendicular to that segment, but it doesn't go through the midpoint. Okay, this goes through the midpoint, it bisects this segment, but is not perpendicular. That's not a 90-degree angle. So you want something that is perpendicular, 90 degrees to the segment, and goes to the midpoint. That's a perpendicular bisector. So the way you do that, okay, you take your compass setting. The compass setting, this is from here to here, that's the entire distance. This is half the distance. You want your compass setting to go a little more than half the distance. Okay, a little more than half the distance. Once I have that, then my compass, put it at an angle, make sure this is at the very end, and then I'm going to make a half circle. And then, without changing the setting of the compass, do not change the setting of the compass. Do it again right here at the very end. I'm going to make another half circle. These arcs are going to intersect twice. So these arcs intersect right there and right there. These 2 points of intersection are the important ones now. Take your straight edge, and I'm going to draw a straight line between this intersection and that intersection of the 2 arcs. So it goes through there, and this is perpendicular. Now I have to say that I've marked the perpendicular. You have to mark that as a bisector. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They have the same number of hash marks on each side. So that's a perpendicular bisector. Let me do that again. Okay, here's the endpoints. Make an arc. Make another arc. And whoa, they did not intersect. What happened? Okay, so listen again when you do this. This is the entire distance of the segment. That's about halfway. It has to be more than halfway. If it's not more than halfway, these arcs will not intersect. So this distance, the compass setting has to be more than half of that distance. So now it'll work. So right there, and there we go. Notice I do not have 2 hands. I do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay, now the 2 arcs intersect there and there. There we go, right through there. Perpendicular, bisector, done. So normally, because you are going to be using a pencil, you erase this mistake. That's a mistake. You should erase it because I'm using pen, so you can see this stuff. If I use pencil, you wouldn't be able to see it. So I want you to use a pencil. I want you to use a pencil, and you would have to erase that stuff. Okay. HB. So for me, HB. Here's a segment HB. Since my paper is going to get stuck just off frame, I'm going to just turn this upside down. There's less interference on the sides here. I want all the stuff because I'm going to spin the paper. This right here is interference. I want to move that out of the way. Okay. So keep the compass setting, and if I start, what's wrong right here? It's the same thing I did right over here. This has to start here. This is not more than halfway. That's about halfway. Make it more than halfway. Okay. Whoops. Do not change the setting of the compass. Put it right here. And then make it. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? That's not in the end point. It should be right there at point B. Right there. It's a common mistake. So there we go. And so boom, boom, boom. Compass settings. There we go. Perpendicular, bisector. And last one. Here's JK. Do it again. Construct a perpendicular bisector. So this is more than halfway, which is fine. That's halfway. That's more than halfway. So make sure we try it. Okay. It's off the paper. Uh-oh. Same thing on the other side. It doesn't. Oh, my. Oh. How do I. It doesn't. Yes, it's right near the edge of the paper. How do you do that when it's right near the edge of the paper? Oh, here you go. Watch. So I did it with this segment. So I know the perpendicular bisector has to go through that point right there. I'm going to do it again with a different length. There, right there. I'm going to do the same thing, but this is more than half the distance. That's about half the distance. That's more than half the distance. This is still more than half of that distance. I'm going to do it again using this compass setting. And there we go. So has to go through this point and has to go through that point. Perpendicular bisector is going to go through both of those points. So badoink, doink, right there. Goes through there, goes through there. This is perpendicular bisector. Done. Sweet. Hasta la bye-byes.